Live from the 619. Welcome to another episode of Militia E.N.T TV. I'm your host, Asiatic Self, aka Young Papio. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to say peace and a special shout out to all my new subscribers. Hold on, Damiek. Hold on. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Appreciate y'all for streaming the music. That motivates me to create more content for the world to consume. All right, so today's guest is not only a friend of mine, he's an author, he's a educator, um, a writer, and most importantly, a father to his children and a leader within his community. Calling in from Los Angeles, California, Damiek Barrow. How you doing, sir?
Peace. Thank
Peace
you for
to
that
peace
great
to God.
intro, man.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the God. Peace to the God. Peace to the earth. Peace to the civilized people of this universe. Yes, sir.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to build with me on my platform.
No
Um,
doubt, man.
let's get into it. So where were you born?
I was born in Miami, Florida. And then when I was about 9 months old, we moved to New York City, and that's where I was raised. So I lived in East New York area, Bed-Stuy. Then we moved, maybe when I was about 6 years old, we moved to Queens and Far Rockaway. And I also lived in Long Island, maybe a year before I actually left. But we always got family in those areas. So, yeah, Miami to New York.
Okay, so being that you lived in the birthplace of hip hop culture, and this is a hip hop platform, can you tell the audience your first memories of hip hop culture?
Man, I would say watching Wild Style,
Mm-hmm.
the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then also Beat Street. When those two came out, like when Wild Style came out, now the taggings on the subway, like I had a connection to that. Like, yo, now I know what that's about and where it's from, you know? And then with Beat Street, I think that's when I really started seeing the fashion change, where the Lee jean jackets and the B-boy, the Kangos and the tagging, the graph of your crew or art on the back of your jacket or your pockets of your jeans. That's where so I would say I saw it in the elements of drawing, tagging,
Mm.
and then also uh, the fashion. And then it trickled into the music. Like I remember listening to the Supreme Team and Mr. Magic that had exclusive radio shows, Friday, Saturday nights, whatever, and we have our box, a radio or our parents' stereo set system, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
record songs and mixes that we heard, at that time. So LL Cool J, T La Rock, Run DMC, Planet Rock, you
Mm.
know, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. I think that was the first record that I actually bought, you know.
So you're talking about the beginning, the literally like the beginning stages of the hip hop explosion.
Right. Like the culture was like it just popped up, and it was cool because I'm like, shoot, we're talking like 81, 82. I'm like 11 years old,
Okay.
something like that, and I'm seeing things just start showing up, and it became our style. Like I'm a hip hop baby because those were my informal years. You know what I'm saying? And I got to see everything during that time and feel the music and just watch it gradually grow. Because at that time, everything was like off of the Motown sound, and then R&B came in real heavy and stuff. We was listening to the Al Greens and the Marvin Gayes, and then you started hearing, the Cold Crush crew, or
Mm-hmm.
Mel and Mel. You hearing there's there's a crew called Double Trouble. If you ever get a chance to study them, they're probably the dopest duo MC with arrangements and just raw talent. And I remember starting hearing that on the radio, and before you know it, Rappers Delight, and it kind of took over. It took over, and everybody was doing one of the elements. You chose one or two or three, whatever you was good at. I remember brothers getting refrigerator boxes and slicing it up and taping it with masking tape, and that's where you did your floor rock, with breakdancing, or brothers went and bought themselves some white gloves and started pop locking.
Okay.
Everybody did something, I chose to be a MC and a little breakdancing. Those were my two elements.
Okay, so you used to write rhymes back in the day.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Okay, so you're familiar with MCing and writing rhymes. So
Yeah.
who give me, and you can be biased if you know people that are within your cipher, personally MCs like that. Let the world know some of your favorite MCs of all time. Give me about 5 6 different MCs that you really appreciate their music and you really respect their craft.
Uh, my favorite is Big Daddy Kane.
Okay.
I think he's just he could basically do anything. And his music right now that came out early, you could play it over these new beats and he'll still murder everybody. Delivery, breath control, concept, his writing style. He's like an MC's MC. So he's definitely one of my tops. Of course, the God Rakim.
Okay. Peace to Rakim and Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, definitely. Grand Pooba, what I think is he slept on a lot, but Grand Pooba is a dope MC to me.
Okay.
Wu Tang, there's so many within that crew that's dope to me. So I'm gonna just say the whole group. Most Def, another I feel is an underrated MC.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorites. And Black Thought, and then we rounded out with Pop, Biggie, Nas. Those are my MCs, man, and most of them, except for Baby, Pac, and Biggie, everybody focused on the consciousness because that's how hip hop came out.
Mm-hmm.
It came out as us expressing ourselves, and then it came out partying and bravado. It wasn't that violent shit yet, and then it went into the teaching, the educational part of it, where we had that pride, about ourselves. That was the era of how hip hop had started. So that's what I remember. A lot of positives where you had to be skilled. You had to be really skilled, and half these people could dance and MC and sing. So the talent level was a lot heavier back then.
Well, yeah, everybody you named, everybody you named definitely has true talent.
Yeah, man. They got a voice, so they
Mm-hmm.
got a delivery plus the charisma. Then they got rhymes that you could visualize and you could feel. So that's what attracted me to those. And you know how it is whenever you got to do a hip hop list, you're like, damn, I forgot to mention. But these cats right here, these are my MCs, man.
That's a good list. That's a good list because you can easily tell by listening to their music they worked on their craft for years, and we're still talking about them 20 30 years after they were at the top of the game. And I think that's a good message right there, that it takes time to master your craft. You can't freestyle your whole career, and if younger artists focus more on their craft, I think the quality of music would be better at this point in time.
Definitely, and not only that, it's what's accepted, because there's a lot of great MCs out there that you just don't hear them, that are way more talented than what we hearing in the mainstream.
That's a fact.
And
That's a fact.
yeah, there's and we need to have them out there, because that would change the culture. But it's part of a master plan,
Mm-hmm.
and the consciousness and the movement was so, especially when PE came in, they was like, yo, we got to change this direction. So at that point, it started going towards the gangster music more, and um, it it kind of gave images of who we were in a negative light because that's all that they wanted. And now it's the most mainstream acceptable music, but it's not really showing the talent and the diversity of our people. You know what I mean?
Well,
Or the culture
basically,
itself.
basically, what I see is that they're more concerned with selling the product. They don't want us educated. They just want us buying their product.
Right, right. But at the same time, it's a subliminal message that it's sending. To make us look a certain way, and then the videos they come about and they really take it to the next level. And I remember when like MTV Raps came out and shit, and they were having videos of the songs, and at first the videos they reflected the content of the song, right? And then it got to a point where you didn't want to watch the video because the video ruined your concept of the song. It had nothing to do with it. And then now it's just showing stuff that's just like X-rated damn near, and violence, a lot of violence, and
I've also, what I've also noticed. Unlike before, but when the music was more pure, um, there's a lot of demonic imagery in these music videos nowadays.
right, right, and that's by design, man. And you need a certain type of artist projecting a certain type of theme in order to keep that movement going. And those are the ones I would say are, you know, that's what we see. All that's what the babies are seeing. I like Kendrick, I like J. Cole. They saying something. Um, I like the baby. And the new crew. What is it? Coast Contras.
I'm not familiar with that group.
Oh man, you gotta go ahead and Google them or YouTube them, and I think it's Coast Contras,
Okay,
and
okay. Coast conscious,
it's
conscious.
Contras.
Okay. Do you know where they're from? What region they're coming out of?
I'm not sure. My daughter put me on to them. She just sent me some videos. I'm like, yo, who are these dudes, man?
Mm.
they got like the Buster Rhyme animation, and then they got rhymes and delivery, and they got several styles. This is a young crew who have practiced their craft together, and they dope. I just was put onto them, and it's like they the dopest ones that I've seen. So I guess I'm giving them a plug too.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to them. Shout out to them.
It's hip hop, man. But yeah, there's some dope MCs now, but the mainstream is really, you know what I'm saying? It's meant for a certain movement, and the movement is to have people think that we're all savages,
Right.
and we don't know any better, and we got to change that narrative, man.
Definitely, I definitely agree. I appreciate all the insightful information regarding the culture because how important that is to me. I feel like if it wasn't for hip hop, I would have not met the right people, or the right people wouldn't have met me in order to put me in position to get the knowledge of myself and to become an artist. Because I was just a fan growing up ever since I was about 5 6 years old. I just loved the culture.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Yeah, it's very attractive, you know.
it's appealing.
it's
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 appealing to
very
look how much it's grown. You know.
right, and it's beautiful, man. The fashion, shell top Adidas, and the Timbs and the baggy jeans, the hoodies. We've changed the world, man.
Mm,
With what music has as many elements,
mm.
positive elements, than hip hop?
Well, I mean, I,
You
I,
know?
I try to be an example of a positive hip hop story. Now that I'm in my freedom years, because I know that everybody's hip hop story doesn't end in positively.
Right, but our elements, man, is an art form itself.
Right.
That's what I was saying. The art form, the positive elements that we got. What is it? We got the dancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got the art, we got the fashion, we got the MCing, we got the DJing, and look how those have transcended through the world, representing hip hop. That's what I mean by the positive images of what other culture has all those elements wrapped into one.
Yeah,
It changed the world.
that's definitely why I wanted to shout out my subscribers, because anybody who's subscribing to this platform right here, they know they're dealing with authentic hip hop music and culture and style. That's what I bring to the world.
Yeah, man, you probably got cats in Japan wearing con art T-shirts tweaking right now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. We spread through the world in a positive way, man. Regardless of what happened along the way, we the heavyweight champ of music, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You're the first person I've ever heard say that, but I definitely agree. Let's get into the book. Zigzag Zig. Is this your first published book?
Definitely my first memoir or
Mm-hmm.
autobiography.
Right.
And I have plays. I'm a playwright also, so I've written and produced, directed several plays. I would have maybe about four of them, but this was my first book that I actually wrote.
Okay, so I know that you had some extra time, like a lot of us did during the pandemic, but besides having that free time to get your thoughts down on pen and on paper, what was the initial inspiration? What made you want to write, like you said, autobiographical piece?
Uh, man, that's a heavy question right there, man, because there's so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I would start by saying this: when I was a child, I had a violent temper, and I wasn't the type that would talk about it because it get me more mad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was directed to write my feelings down, and then physically I exercised and played sports just to release the physical, violence that was inside me in a positive outlook. So at the time when I first started writing the book, I was going through a lot. Family, work, just, the world, man. And I needed an outlook, a positive outlet, really. And I started writing again. And then some trouble happened. My mom's got sick, Alzheimer's. Uh, like, it was just crazy. And I had to put it down for a little while, maybe about 2 or 3 years, to try to deal with what was going on within my family. And
Right.
then the pandemic hit, and by then my mother was in a safe and stable place,
Mm-hmm.
and I just sat down and let it out, and I probably finished it in a month's time. I went from 20 pages in to 300 pages within that time because it all came out. So I wanted to leave a legacy for my babies, who are now young adults, 24 years old,
Mm.
my daughter and my son. But I wanted to leave something to connect them to the family because we're the only ones out here in Cali. Everybody else is they're back east, or they're in Barbados where the family comes from, or they're in London or Toronto, which is, all the hot West Indian spots.
Yeah.
And they know them, but they really don't know the family history by being around people a lot. They were around them when they were younger, but a lot of the elders have passed. So this was here, this is our family. So when you have your own families, you could say this is where my family's from, and this is what they did. And my dad wrote this book, and he was a lost 5%, and he wanted to send a message, not really teaching you how to be a 5%er, but showing you his past, his rite of passage from getting knowledge at 13, 14 into the stage where he's at, where he wrote the book. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to leave something, and it was a creative thing. And I grew up, without a father in the house. So I used to read a lot of autobiographies of great men to try to find out what that it factor is, because I didn't have that as a model under my roof. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wanted to return something for a kid that's picking up books, trying to find out what this man is about, because they don't have a relationship with their father. So all those reasons, man. But most of all, I'm an artist, and I think I was taking my trauma and putting it in a positive light that could hopefully inspire me and whoever picks it up.
So a lot of people probably want to write a book about their life, but when did you make that promise to yourself that this was something you were gonna do?
Um, I don't know if I made a promise to myself. If and when, I just knew I was going to do something, and it was just in the back of my mind. And when I was dealing with all that stress, man,
Mm.
I knew that writing would be the only thing that could help me get out of it, because it's a discipline. You see what I'm saying? Where you sit down and you focus on the project that you have at hand, and it's a distraction for the negativity that's going around you. Even if it's for an hour, 2 hours a day, it was more of a therapeutic project than an artistic promise. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I totally get that. It was a way for you to let out what was inside, that what was dying to come out, or also you wanted to use it, like, hey, that when you said legacy, that was different. I mean, that's not the answer that I expected, but it definitely hit home, because that's kind of like the inspiration behind my music. I want to have something that's going to live on, even longer than my physical existence on the planet.
Right, right. Especially when you have a family, man, you want them to know there's generations that's going to come after you in your family, and they could say, I know who my family was. And yeah, you definitely want to leave a legacy in everything that you do, and make it a positive legacy. You want to be here known as a builder and somebody that contributed in a positive way to your community and your family and whatnot. So leaving that history of what you and your people was going through at a certain time, whether it's in music or it's in art form or whatever, it's all good, man.
Okay. Sorry for the noise in the background. Got a little.
That's all right. That's life.
We got a landline, so it's probably a scammer or some telemarketer or something going on.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. So where can um where can people locate the book? Where can they buy the book?
Well, right now, the plug that it's on is Amazon. So you just go onto Amazon and you put in the search bar Zigzag Zig. That's the title of the book. So
Mm-hmm.
Zigzag Zig is basically life's ups and downs, hills and mountains, and um, within it you get knowledge, you get wisdom, and you get understanding. And um, I was really dealing with life's ups and downs, and that's the meaning behind the title of the book, Zigzag Zig. It's also the 26th letter in our alphabet, and supreme alphabet,
Yeah.
and you know, and but yeah, it's on Amazon right now. There's a couple of other platforms that we're working on, but Like you and I have spoken earlier, I'm re-editing it right now and putting it back there on multiple platforms. But it's at this point you could get it on Amazon.
Okay, so it's an Amazon. How much would that book
It's
cost?
$20. It's twenty
$20,
dollars.
and I would say that it's definitely a great investment. I purchased the book last summer. I read it, and that's definitely what inspired this interview today.
Well, thank you for that, man. Thank you.
Oh no, it's my pleasure because like we were speaking earlier, a lot of platforms that interview gangsters and snitches and ex-cons and all that, and I'm entertained by those type of interviews as well. But I don't think enough brothers like yourself are being recognized for your positive work within your community. So can we please get into your current profession? What do you do professionally?
I'm an educator. I've been an educator for the last 25, 26 years. So um, I basically teach English. I teach babies how to read, write, speak, think,
And
process.
this is within the school district in Los Angeles, California, correct?
Right. Los Angeles Unified School District. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I've also taught drama. And the last 4 years, I've been out of the classroom where um, I'm basically helping new teachers, and becoming an instructional specialist. And just putting a program together, a lesson plan together, helping people with their management and with the ups and downs of being an educator that we all endure. And recently, within the last year, I have a new position, which is an equity coach. And what that means is I'm teaching and helping train teachers, instructional wise, of how to teach the black and brown child. Because
Wow.
most of what they teach is dead, white, male
Their story.
story.
Their story, right?
Their story. Their story. And our kids aren't stupid. It's just that there's a disconnection to that, because that's not us. And then at the same time, they show all the negative of us, all the trauma that we've been through, and they make that part of the curriculum. And it's by design. And what that does is, again, send subliminal messages to us. And when our test scores are low or our attendance is bad, it's not because we're necessarily going through trauma. It's that when we come into the classroom, we see in the books trauma. Everything that the kids are learning, even us when we were in school, shows European base. And we know that once we start teaching towards our style, black and brown, which is oral traditions and movement, where they get up and they put their hands in things and they move with it instead of just getting lectures or writing, copying notes from a book. The kids do better because they're connected to it. And we have movement. And that style is called like kinesthetic, where people move. They get up and they got to move in order to learn. It's not because the kid is bad. It's because that's his learning style. And a lot of us, black and brown, that's the way we've been taught. And so now that we put that into the classroom, we're seeing improvements, because we see our kids are the ones that's being suspended and expelled. And there's really a school to prison pipeline. And we're trying to break those narratives, and this position is like, it's not even work to me. I'm like, what? This is my passion. This is stuff that I used to get in trouble for when I first started teaching. And administrators were like, why are you teaching them this? How's that going to affect their test scores? And we had to give them something that they could hold on to and say, oh, my people, this is about us. And, we did this, we did that. We're the great civilizers. And before the U.S. of A. was breaking down or coming about, we was kings and queens. We were civilized. You don't see that in the books. And they don't want us to teach that. So I get a chance to really make an impact, and I love it, man. I'm probably too much for them at this point because this goes right along with the teachings, of the supreme wisdom and Allah's 5%. We're here to civilize and to teach the babies, and man, I get a chance to do that.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, God, because that kind of leads into my next question. So, where did you get the knowledge of self?
I got knowledge of self in Queens, New York, Little of Brooklyn. I saw parliaments
Mm-hmm.
of young kids in Medina, and I went into it and just to see what was going on because it came in like how I explained. It came in with the hip hop movement at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I was maybe in about seventh grade when I started really questioning what this religion thing is all about. And nobody could give me answers until I got around the gods and the earths.
And how old were you?
Answers that
How old were you then?
Probably about 10, 11 when I first started going around
Really?
and
Wow.
being
Okay.
exposed to it. But I really didn't commit fully
Until
I was about 14 or 15.
14 or
That's when I
15.
had enough. Yeah, that's when I had enough courage to tell moms and my grandmother that I didn't believe in their Jesus anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a major. Um, I, telling them was a fear. Like I knew which direction it was going, but I had to reach a point where I was strong enough to say, I'm not going to church no more. I'm not eating this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my culture, and I'm going to dedicate myself to that, which was the complete opposite of what my family was doing.
So it kind of took a little bit of courage in order to make that.
Hell yeah, it took courage.
It took a,
courage, man. It took on
if
my
you
part.
if
My
you
family's
if
from the West Indies, so they colonized.
so if you don't mind me asking, what was the reaction of some of your family members when you told them that you were going your own? You were choosing a different path.
Man, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good look.
You got backlash for your decision.
I got backlash immediately because at the time, like I didn't know, but there was a lot of negative feedback about the 5% nation.
Okay.
If anything, any dirt was being done around the neighborhood, somebody that had a 5% name was included. And I don't know if it was because they really didn't understand the culture and they were really doing savage deeds when we're not supposed to be doing that.
Correct.
Or I don't know if it was the media that was infiltrating it to make it seem like everything we was doing was negative. But most of the people that I was around, they were for righteousness.
Correct.
They was teaching to be right and exact. So my family thought I was joining a gang.
Okay.
When I first decided that I was going to be righteous and change my name. So they wouldn't let me get any phone calls with that name. Forced to go to church, which was a daily battle. Because my family was all about church. And I went to a private schools, like first through eighth grade. So 2 times a week you in mass, just because you at school, type of thing. So for me to go against that, it was problems. But I was cool with it. Once I had enough courage to drop the ball and say, yo, this is what I'm doing. At that time, I didn't have to fear anything else because that was the greatest fear that I had. So once I got that out and let the family know this is what I was doing and where I was going, the focus came on this. It came about that I was going to try to be that 5%, the one that people know is a righteous man in his teaching and doing the best that he can, you know. And yeah, that's just the culture that's in me that's affected.
Well, I would like to say that I think you made the right choice.
I know I made the right choice.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
yeah,
Okay,
it saved my life.
would you like? I agree. Like I feel the same way in regards to my story. If it wasn't for me having knowledge of self, I don't know where I would be. Um, would you like to shout out your educator, the original man that, or the individual who put you on to this knowledge?
Yeah, definitely, man. I want to give a shout out, and I've had a few, but the first one that told me about my culture and who I was a God by the name of Zaire, and he's in Pittsburgh right now. But he was on the corner of Mott Avenue and Beach Channel Drive at a McDonald's, and every day me and kids was walking past him, he used to shout out, "The black man is God," you
Hmm.
know.
What was the what
Yeah,
like? Could you remember like your initial reaction to hearing something like that? Being that we're taught differently from birth.
man, I was hooked.
You
You know
like
what I'm saying?
you liked what you heard.
Yeah, I was hooked. Like if you could become an addict, like how people, take a drug the first time and they get that euphoric, feeling,
Uh huh.
and they chase that.
Mm.
That's what knowledge of self did to me when I first started because it was so timely. It was right at that age when I was looking for it. So Zaire did that. There was a guard that came on our block that was a little bit older than us that got locked up, and when he came home, he got knowledge in the belly. His
Uh
name
huh.
was Divine.
Divine.
Divine gave me my math and my alphabet and my 12 jewels. And his style of teaching was from mouth to ear. I didn't write down anything. I memorized when I was around him. When I moved from Queens, and he was in Queens, both of those guards.
Which is also known as the desert, correct?
Yes, yes, sir, the desert. Um, but Zaire and Divine was both in Far Rockaway, Freeman
Okay.
Rule. And then I went to Long Island, and there was a brother by the name of Lord Savior. And Lord Savior had taught virtually all the kids. And when I moved to Long Island, like I was 16, and I spent my last year in New York in Long Island, staying with extended family. And all the guards, every kid had knowledge of self in Long Island. That was my age, around our block. And Lord Savior pretty much was the one who taught everybody. He was the foundation. And that's where I got my student enrollment. And I left New York knowing my 1 in 14.
Oh, okay.
But I got all the lessons there. So, yeah, Zaire, definitely Divine, and then Lord Savior, who all come in the name of Almighty God Allah.
Peace to those brothers.
Peace.
Um. Okay, so obviously, you brought some knowledge, or some of the 120 lessons from New York to Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
What happened from there? So you said you said you arrived in Los Angeles with the 1 to 14.
Yeah, the 1 in 14, but I didn't live in Los Angeles right away. I stayed on the outskirts in Ventura County, a place called Simi Valley, California.
Right, right.
And that's where we lived. And word is bond. Part of the reason of moving to that type of element, part of it was to get me rid, get me separated from the 5%. You
Mm.
know, but eventually I ran into a brother who is the world renowned Born of Law,
Okay.
and Born
Shout out to Born
had
Allah.
just Born had just got knowledge of self, and he had that fire inside of him, and I gave him everything that I had. He had the supreme mathematics already, and I gave him the supreme alphabet. Student enrollment. The way we got it was the 1 in 36 followed that, and then the 1 in 14. And me and Bourne, pretty much, that's my brown seed, you know. And for those of you that may not understand that's my partner, where I acted and he spoke, and together that was our teaching style.
So okay, so now we have Damiek, we have Born a Law. You brothers meet. You're obviously building.
Yes,
Ki-
sir.
Do you remember the early parliaments in Los Angeles, California? Where were they located? What year? Anything you remember, God?
Uh, the first parliament was in Bourne's crib, and
Okay.
this is off of his grandmother's house, and this is off of like La Cienega and Cadillac in Los Angeles, what we call Love of Law. And then the first official park parliament, which is in Leimert Park, we're talking 1989 that this happened. So the first park parliaments, it was just kids. We was like 18, 19, 20, and there was a handful of us. We got My King, which is the yellow seed, the third one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's our black, brown, and yellow. And then came Just Life, Sudan, you know, and Divine, who is now El Sadi. And then after that came Knowledge Born and King of Law. And you put all those together, and that's our eight. Now, there were gods out here before us, you know, but nobody really stayed not long enough to make a history and record it. And so we're the gods of our generation, you know. And Leimert Park has been our home for the longest, man. That's been the foundation. But yeah, those were the early park parliaments, and you know, kids attract kids. So we standing in a circle building, and there's five of us, and 20 minutes later, some kids see us, and they come over. What they talking about? The same way I was attracted to the ciphers back in New York, in Medina, when I was coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and before you know it, an hour passed by, and there's 20 of us out there, and we teaching, and we saying things that these brothers had just started hearing. You know, they was hearing it by way of hip hop, Poor Righteous Teachers. Um, they were hearing Brand Nubian. They were hearing Public Enemy and KRS One, Boogie Down Productions. They was hearing Consciousness, and we was speaking it in a cipher, and we was young. So that's how our nation built from then on. And everybody taught everybody. We got to give a shout out to the God Lord Jamel. And Lord Jamel was an elder God that came out, you know, about 11, 12 years older than me. And he taught us how to hold parliaments. And been very instrumental in my life. So when I talk about an educator, he's definitely one that I'm the closest with. Out
Okay.
of out of all the educators I've had, we speak almost daily, you know. And when he calls me, and then he got brothers that got knowledge of self from all over the world on the line, and he's like a vein that connects everybody together. So, yeah, that's love of law, man.
Oh, big shout out to Lord Jamel.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I was on your Instagram a few weeks ago, and I remember seeing a flyer for a nature and wellness event. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That was put together by one of a very active and diligent younger brother, and it was dealing with equestrian, like riding horses in Compton. Yeah, they ride horses in Compton. There's a dope history about it that y'all should check out when you get a chance. But there's horse stables there, and he went in there and organized things for the kids to come by and get used to that type of living, man. You know, of riding horses and grooming them and taking care. And there's a whole business world with that. So Yeah, a lot of babies came. I was out of town, so I couldn't make it. We just had to support it the best way we can. But I heard it was great, and we're looking forward to something like that happening again soon.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you was you spoke about Lamert Park, the original parliaments in Level Law.
Right.
If anybody was interested in attending a parliament this month, next month, or in the near future, where could they find the God's building?
You guys can find us at Ladera Park, and which is on like a La Brea and 60th, and it's borderline Inglewood slash Ladera Heights. But right at that spot is where we're building by the stage.
By the
Great
stage, and that
stage.
would be every last Sunday of the month, correct?
Right at 2 p.m.
At 2 p.m. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so
But where else do they build at in Southern California, God?
we build in Oceanside. Me and my brother Universal Truth are meeting up every last Sunday of the month in Oceanside. Um, if anybody's interested in building with us out there in Oceanside, go to my Instagram at Young Papio on Instagram. Um, how about let me think. Before we get into the last segment of this interview, I wanted to ask you, what do you think, in your opinion, are the benefits of having knowledge of self?
Well, when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and where your people came from,
Mm,
it opens your eyes because, like stated earlier, that's not taught in America. It's definitely not taught in the school systems. And unless your parents know it and pass it down to you, then we keep believing that we second class citizens. So the first thing having knowledge of self is going to do is awaken you and give you an energy, man, to know who you are, pride that you have about yourself. And it definitely works on your confidence, right?
hmm
And then it kind of lets you understand all the trauma that we see us as African American, Latino, which are basically the indigenous people of the world. We see where it comes from and why it's here, and it's able to make us make the right decisions. So life is full of seasons and cycles. So when we first deal with a problem, we don't know how to deal with it if it's foreign to us, and then we get through it, either positive or negative. We get through it. Well, that same issue is going to come about again, but now we have the formula to get through it. And that's what having knowledge of self is, especially having 120 lessons, because it's a blueprint. It's a navigation system to help us navigate through life. And that way we have a greater understanding of why the world is the way it is and why we're viewed a certain way. And once you get that knowledge of self, it's like, say you was blind and you could see for the first time, or
hmm
you was deaf and you could hear for the first time, or you was mute and you could speak for the first time, and you realize that all this stuff is right here, all this information, all this knowledge about who you are, but we didn't have the ability to recognize it. So that's what knowledge of self does. It gives you that unshakable confidence that you know your your place in this universe, and it belongs to us.
mm.
It belongs to us, and you can't get more hyped up about life to know that you're a maker, a owner, a cream,
Cream of the planet Earth,
uh,
father of
all of
civilization. We the gods of the universe.
the universe. Yeah, God.
Mhm.
So once you get that, you feel you may grow a couple of inches. You know,
Well
you may
said.
grow a
I think,
couple
yeah,
of inches.
I think that was well said. Do you have any events coming up in the near future? that you like the world to know?
Yeah, we do. We are hosting Universal Family Day, which is going to be the last Sunday or last weekend of July, and it's here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And you could follow me on Instagram, also on Facebook, Damiek Barrow, Damiek. B is in black, Arrow. You can find me on those platforms, and you'll see postings being put out there about what we're going to do. But the Universal Family Day that we're scheduling for the last weekend of July is basically going to be like a Friday of meet and greet. Place is still pending. Then we're going to have a family day in honor of kind of like the show and prove that they have each year back in New York.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to bring that type of energy out here. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll have our parliament, which is, follows with the tradition of the last Sunday of every month at 2 p.m., where we come together and we build. And we come together as a family, and we speak about this glorious nation of the gods and earths.
That's peace. That's peace.
Yeah,
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out for and allowing me to interview you. Like I said, I think you deserve the platform, and hopefully, this is the first of many interviews that you do in the future, because I honestly feel you're doing some great work in your community out there in Los Angeles school district. And if you want to give any shout outs before we end, go ahead and do that.
yeah. I definitely want to give a shout out to you for giving me this opportunity to, just speak my journey and share it with the world. And I definitely want to give a shout out to all the civilized people of the universe. Doesn't matter what color you are, black, white, brown, yellow, it doesn't care. If you're good people, keep on being good.
Hmm.
I want to give a shout out definitely to my family, my wife, my children, my great families in Barbados, London, Toronto, New York City, and Florida, and every place in between where our family name is, and especially my extended family. Like, for example, my wife's family that's in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, T-Town, and also Atlanta. Shout out to everybody.
That's what.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Hey, that's what's up. I'll be reaching out soon. You'll definitely see me out there in Level Law next month, and I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
looking forward to seeing you, God.
Hey, have a great day, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Peace.
Peace. There it is. Author Damiek Barrow calling in from Los Angeles, California. Zigzag Zig is his book. It's on Amazon. Definitely a great investment, and it's an opportunity to not only get familiar with his story, but it also gives you opportunity to get familiar with your story. Peace.